Hello and welcome back. Before we get into interior walls, let's look at how we can kind of adapt certain aspects of this. So let's use the select tool. Hit spacebar to get the select tool. Select this room, and then hit the open object button, or just double click it. And that'll bring up the room specification tool. And what you'll see here on the right here is sort of an elevation specification for what a room would look like. So let's say we want to go and change the ceiling height for our general room. We'll go down to the Structure tab, and we'll say we want the ceiling height to be a little lower than this. Let's say 97 1/8 inch. Brings us the ceiling height down just a little bit, but you'll notice that it still defines like floor joists and things like that. If you're looking at things like another thing to notice is all of these dimensions. If yours isn't automatically creating exterior dimensions, the way to add them in is to go to this CAD tool and then go down to automatic dimensions and then say auto exterior dimensions, and then it will add all of those exterior dimensions so you can see what the size of your house looks like. And also be aware that when we zoom in, those dimensions are drawn from the outside of the framing layer, not from the siding or any insulation or anything like that. Those dimensions are always outside of framing, which is nice to stay consistent and keep things looking nice. For floor plans and stuff, that's usually how it's done. And that's how you would do it anyway, because when you're framing, you want all those dimensions to be the outside of framing. Now, let's see, how do we get the wall dimensions to match what the actual size of the building should be? This is actually a little bit tricky. It's not super tricky, but it is something that's a little bit counterintuitive. But what it does is it allows us to just kind of freeform build our house and then bring it in line with our vision. So basically what you do is you would select a wall. Let's say I want to move this wall, and I want to move this wall, and I want this dimension to be the dimension that gets adjusted. Let's say this dimension should only be 10 foot 4 inches. So now that wall will move to accommodate that. Only this wall will move, and now this wall is 10 foot 4 inches. Let's move on. Let's say we want to make sure that this dimension is correct by moving this wall up here. Let's say this should be 28 feet, and then that will move out. So what I'm doing is I'm just clicking on the wall that moves, and then the dimension that should change, and then it's allowing me to do just that. And now this wall needs to move, and that dimension needs to change to 13 foot 4 inches. And that's pretty much in line with my example. So 42 foot by 28 foot living space, and that's our exterior walls. Let's do some interior walls. So we're going to go to the build menu, and we'll hit wall, and we'll do straight interior wall. Alternately, you can hit the wall tool here and hit straight interior wall, and that will get you the same result. Now, how to do this again is clicking and dragging. We're going to define a few different rooms. We're just going to take this big large space, and we're just going to segment it off. And some of these segments will remain, and some of them will be deleted. So I'm just gonna notice here that when I mouse over a wall, it'll actually snap to the center point. So let's just draw a line up straight from the center point to the other side of the house. And then we'll do another one, say right about here. And then another one from kind of the center point on this wall all the way to the other side. So you'll notice that this kind of like creates these divisions, like automatically kind of creates stud walls with sheetrock on the outside of them. So that's like the default definition of a stud wall, of an interior wall. Now, we can actually go in and change the types of these rooms. So let's say you can select them one at a time, and you can hit this open button down here. I just like to double click it, and that brings up sort of the room specification dialog. So this is a kitchen, and there's a bunch of them that are predefined. Let's hit OK. And this is maybe a dining room. And you hit OK, and this will be the living room area. Let's call it living. And then I'll define the rest of them here off the air. And we're back. So one other thing that you can do, let's say you want to use this entryway specification, but you want to use a different word on your plan. You can actually go in here and change it. So the room type is still entryway. You changed it to foyer, or foyer, or however you pronounce it. Another thing that you may want to do, which is kind of cool, is to get rid of these dimensions in here. And you can find this in the dot tab over here, active layer display options. If that isn't up, you can find it in the view, and it's under here. Hit active layer display options, and then that tab should dock over here. And right here is where I have rooms, interior dimensions. I can uncheck that, and then those dimensions will disappear, and it'll look a little bit nicer. I mean, you can leave them on if you want. That's fine. One interesting tool to look at is in your 3D menu, you can actually create what's called an orthographic view, or like an actual two-dimensional cross-section of your thing. So if I create if I want a back-clipped cross-section, I say, what do I want sliced off? Let's say I want the whole front part of the house sliced off, and then looking in that direction. And then that's what I have. I have a dining room, entryway, and then the garage right here. And you can see like elevation and toe kickboard or a trim on the inside of those rooms. So it's kind of a nice little tool for looking around inside of your house. And then of course we can create a perspective view. I'll show you another way to do this. You can do perspective floor overview and hit that, and it'll give us this kind of a look. So now we can see how each room is defined. All I did was say that this was a garage, and it defined it as a garage, and changed some features of that room accordingly. So right now this is looking really, really kind of cloistered and claustrophobic and very just like a series of rooms. So we're going to work on opening things up and making this floor plan look a little bit better. Okay, so the first thing we want to try to do is maybe add in some things that we need, like closets. So let's just draw in an interior wall here, and then maybe here. So let's redefine this as a master bathroom, and we'll resize all this stuff later on. And then we'll resize this, we'll redefine this as a closet. And you notice sometimes the text description will be kind of in the wrong spot, so we'll just move it over. Get it kind of in the middle of the room. That looks nice. Down here, let's draw another one. Let's draw in a closet for coats down here inside of the foyer area. And then we'll redefine this as a closet. Boom. Closet. We still want it to be called closet. And you can do stuff like rotate this up by grabbing. So there's all sort of, whenever you select something like one of these text boxes, there are all these little handles around it, and they all do different things. So you grab the middle square, that's moving it. You grab the little triangle, that rotates it. So you have a lot of control over how things will look and how they're presented. Let's say that this closet is too big for a coat closet. Let's cut it in half. So I'm going to grab my interior wall tool and draw that. Take this and rotate up. Spacebar gives you your select tool. You're just going to use it a lot. That's all there is to it. And then we'll draw this up. Now this closet we're going to delete. So how do we do that in a way that is easy and not super annoying? What we want to do is we want to get rid of this wall, this part of the wall. So what we'll do is there's a tool where you can break a wall. It's right here. So I have the wall selected, and it is there. It looks like a little lightning bolt with a slash through it, but the hotkey is the number 3. So if you hit 3, the break tool is on, and then I just will click right where I want it to break, and then this wall is now kind of by itself. And I can hit delete. It's gone, and now this is now part of the foyer. So that's kind of how you do that. It's not too bad. Pretty straightforward. Let's say we want to reposition some stuff. I think that this wall should be lined up with the inside of the garage, but this wall's connected there, so we're going to want to break that too. So we'll hit 3, and then click there to break it, And then we're going to drag this wall over just a bit with the move tool. So we'll grab it, we'll move it, and we'll put it right there. And then just for now, this red handle is the one for moving and rearranging things a little bit. Okay, so that looks good. The master bedroom might have to be resized too. Let's make that lined up with that. So some of the stuff is going to get rearranged a little bit. But now that this wall is broken, I can remove these like independently of each other, and it will look a lot nicer. So we'll leave it like that for now. The next thing we might want to do, because this house is we might want to define these two walls here as fire breaks. So let's select this wall and break it right here, and then select this one, and we're going to go into the open button down here, and we will go to wall types, and the fire is predefined. Here it is, fire 6. Hit OK, that has a fire break in it. Actually, let's go back into that, and then go to our wall types, and then define. We want it to look a little bit more obviously like a fire break. We'll make it kind of like a pale pink color. I think that does exactly what we want. So there's our fire break wall. Let's do the same thing here. Let's make sure that this wall right here is a fire break. And then we'll do wall type. And then we want it to be a fire 6. So those are now a fire break from the garage. But you'll notice that the fire break material is on the inside of the wall. Well, we want to flip that. So we'll actually just select both of these walls. We'll select one of them, right click, and then it is reverse layers. And that brings those materials on the inside where they belong. So they'll be inside the garage. That'll create a fire break between the house and the garage. The last thing that we want to do to kind of complete this thing in this video is to get all of these walls kind of more accurately placed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break a few of these walls. I'm going to break spacebar, select this wall, hit 3, break it here. Then we'll select this wall and break it here as well. And we'll select this wall again and break it here. Okay, so now, so these are now independent walls. So what we want to do is we want these walls to now be, we want them to still define rooms, but we don't want them to have any thickness or like dimensions. So what they're going to be is we're going to, so we don't want the exterior dimensions to locate these walls, so we'll hit no locate. And then we'll go into wall types and we'll say room divider, which just defines it as like a logical room divider. It's just going to be a dotted line. I hit OK, it's gone, but the rooms are still defined as rooms, which is nice. Looks like this one didn't get broken correctly, so we'll break it. Okay, so now this wall will give the same treatment. We'll make it no locate, and wall type will be room divider, which is down here. Hit OK. There we go. So now I've got the kitchen. For some reason my living room disappeared, but I just like readjusted this wall and then now it's back. So I'm not sure what exactly that was about. But if we unselect everything, it should all look good. The next thing we want to do is make sure that everything is kind of lined up correctly. So I'm going to select the foyer as a start, and then I'm going to hit Auto Interior Dimensions, which is this little button down here. And that's going to create a bunch of dimensions in here. So then I can do stuff like resize this closet. So let's say we want this wall to be moved, and we want it to be this dimension to change to say 6 feet. So that'll shrink that down a little bit. Let's do the same thing here, and then select this wall. And let me select that. There we go. So that will be 2 feet. And that will make our closet 2 feet by 6 feet, which is a little bit more appropriate. And then what you'll do is you'll kind of go through the whole house doing that. You can, once you're done with a room, you might, leave some of these dimensions in, but you might also just delete some of them too. But yeah, go through the whole house, get everything to the dimensions that seem logical and reasonable, and you'll end up with something kind of like this. And, you know, you can futz with this stuff for infinite hours if you want to, but once you get things kind of looking the way they're supposed to be, your walls are defined the way you want them to be, then you're good to go. You know, you can start kind of, getting walls in line and stuff. That should be 2 inches more out, but get it like the way it's supposed to be. Anyway, this is basically the rundown. If you want to get rid of some of these interior dimensions, you can go up to Edit, Delete Objects, and we want to get rid of all those automatic dimensions, and then hit Yes, Delete, get them all. And then to bring back the automatic interior dimensions, we go to CAD, Automatic Dimensions, Auto Exterior, and then it'll bring those back. And then it'll look all nice. And then we can move on to the next step, which is adding another floor.